living in post-industrial society. Some people also call it as post-modern society or postmodern society also in sociology. That in each stage of production, the stages of this human development, this means of production were developed. In hunting and gathering, very simple means of production were there, while in industrial or post-industrial society, we can see that complex or very developed means of production are there, and therefore this system to regulate these means of production, that that also needs to be changed. Uh, if we see these management theories, these are mostly developed in Western part of the world. And as you are aware that Renaissance parade, first we say that Renaissance also started in the Europe. Renaissance was characterized by three types of revolutions: scientific revolution, that then industrial revolution, and French revolution. Scientific revolution, this Charles Darwin theory of evolution, blood circulation, and many germs theory that came during that time, that it led to science-led movement. That's the scientific revolution. French revolution, we can say political revolution, where equality, brotherhood, these are the concept given, and democracy as concept were given. And the industrial society, industrial revolution, where this means of production completely changed. That that production started at mass level, mass production started, factory production started, and that factory production requires different kinds of labor, and that labor came from this urban area, and that labor got settled there. That's why we can see this urbanization also. And as more and more labor came, there was started exploitation also, and this labor movement, and all these things just I'm giving just so that you can correlate these things with this evolution of scientific evolution of management thoughts. Okay. Basically, these management theories, broadly, they are classified under three theories: classical, neoclassical, and modern theories. Classical theories are bureaucracy, administrative theory, and scientific management. And neoclassical, there are many theories are there in neoclassical. And modern theory, basically three approaches are there. Okay, we'll see it in detail. These classical theories, they developed in early 20th century. These models for this development of classical theory, they were military and Catholic Church. If we see military, there is hierarchy, strict control, chain of command, okay, predictability. If this command is given, these types of result likely to come, and unidirectional. One boss will be there, and after that, one different subordinate, like that. That command or direction will come from one direction only, unidirectional. These were the features of this classical theory. Classical, as I told, three basic theories are there, sub theories we can say under this classical. First is the scientific management theory, second is bureaucracy, and third one is the administrative theory. First, we will start from this scientific management. This was given by this Frederick Tyler. He is also called as father of scientific management. And it is based on the principle that maximize workers' capacity and profits. Means high wages we can give to the labor, but we can increase their productivity so that this labor cost will be low. And this scientific management gave basically two ideas, that is the time and motion studies. That means there were some experiment they did for each task, how much time they require, or average or optimum time they require, and based on that they set this remuneration or money given to that task. Okay. And another one is this fair days pay for fair days work. If that employee is working good, then we should also pay him good, like that. Uh, another this scientific management, they introduced one concept that is the piece rate system. Means rather than paying daily for that person, give as per their task assigned to them. Like in agriculture, we give per acre, that you do transplanting of onion, we will pay 8,000 rupees per acre, irrespective of number of days that labor is taking. That is a piece rate system, paying for the particular area of operation or a number of tasks, that in that way. Here, this primary focus here is given on this task only. It's also called as management by system and standard. Uh, you can see that more focus is on given on the task only, and it neglected the human aspect of this employees or laborers. In this context, scientific management, one concept that may be asked, that is the soldering. It is tendency to deliberate working slowly as to avoid expanding more efforts than the deemed necessary. Okay, this can be the natural or maybe because of system. If in system one person is doing more work and everyone is assigning that work to same person, then after some time that person's ability or even his willingness to do that work will be reduced. That we can call as systematic, and natural means their inherent tendency of that individual to do less work. Okay, there can be various reasons for this salting, and we can avoid this salting also by doing the scientific management principles as suggested by the Styler. Okay, uh, characteristics of scientific management, basically four, that whatever the management manager has to do, that should be based on the science. It should not be the based on rule of thumb. Okay, very systematically they should analyze this task analysis, and based on that they assign the task to the to the individual which is able to do that task. Okay, then harmony and not discord. There should be harmony among the individual and managers, individuals objectives and these organizational objectives. Third one is cooperation, not individualism. Cooperation again among this manager, employee, as well as among employees, and focus is on maximum output in place of restricted output. These are the four characteristics, and based on that there are four principles of scientific management. First one is replace working by rule of thumb. Then second is rather than simply assign worker to the just any job, match worker to that job based on capability. Okay, we have to basically match this worker's ability and the task requirement. Then third principle is that monitor workers' performance and provide instruction and supervision to ensure that they are using the most efficient ways of working. And fourth one is that allocate the work between managers and workers, so that these managers able to spend more time on planning and the workers able to perform their tasks efficiently. There should not be any conflict or conflict among the managers and employers. That's harmony. If we see this managed application of this scientific management, it has huge application, particularly this industrial society or where the factory production or mass production, we called it as assembly lines. That prototype, that is the example of this scientific management only. Now also we see this if we look into YouTube some videos of car production, any type of car, that will be at mass scale, and how they are doing each task at different level, that is assembly line. That shows this application of this scientific management. Then system of remuneration, quotas, commission based on the quantity. This scientific management, it is based on scientific management principles. Redesign, re-engineering, benchmarking, etc. are also done using scientific management. Okay, and this data are used to refine, improve, changes, modify, and eliminate organizational process. But this scientific management also criticized by this some Gramsci and other sociologists particularly, and this mass production also so they criticize The same, if you remember the theory of Karl Marx also, he also criticizes the steps of system because they say that it promotes the subordination of workers. It leads to alienation of workers from the work, from the product of work, from the quality of work, and ultimately, as Karl Marx says, that it alienates that individual from himself also. And final product, they say that it will lead to revolution, some kind of revolution by these workers. Uh, Next theory is the administrative theory. If you see there are elements, four elements of this administrative theory. That's first they talked about these principles of management. Okay, and particularly you need to know about these Fayol's principles of management, 14 principles of management. Then this administrative theories, they also give the concept of line and staff. Line means major positions in an organization hierarchically arranged, and staff are this position in office that helps this line functionaries. Okay, of course, both roles are equally important. This line and staff concept is what was given by this administrative theory. Then committees. We know that different committees we form in organization for selection, of selection or recruitment. Okay, even for tendering and or other purpose. This concept was also given by this administrative theories. And next important element they give, it's about the functions of management. I'll give five functions of management. We'll see next slide. And Luther Gulick, he also gave this post-core: planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, reporting, and budgeting. This post-core principle, Luther Gulick, they give, that comes also under this administrative theory. Major person responsible for this administrative theory was the Henry Fayol. Uh, and he gave this principle and elements of management, how managers should accomplish their managerial duties. As per this theory, primary focus of as per this theory's major focus, primary focus is on management aspect, functions of the administration. Okay, if we see this scientific management, more focus was given on task. Here focus is on given on management. Means we can see some improvement over Tyler in terms of respect to human being. Okay, and here he also acknowledged that workers are motivated by more than the money. Only money is not sufficient condition. Equity in worker treatment, he advised, and its theory also is more prescriptive. Means it says what should be the things in organizations. Okay. Five elements of this management are planning, organizing, command, coordination, and control. POCCC, you can remember these functions of management given by Fayol. And this Fayol's theory also says that we need to keep machine functioning effectively and efficiently, and for that purpose we need to replace that inefficient part of the system. Okay, inefficient or the part of the system that is not contributing to objective of the organization or to that system. This Fayol says we need to replace that part. And his 14 principles of management are there. These are also the tools for accomplishing objectives, organizational objectives. These 14 principles, they are simple, easy to understand. Division of work, authority, responsibility, discipline, unity of command. Unity of command means only one supervisor will be there, or direction will come from only one supervisor. Unity of direction, one manager per set of activities or objectives. Okay. Subordination of individual interest to the organizational interest. Remuneration of personnel. Centralization. Scalar chain. Scalar chain here means how this direction will move from, suppose top level A is there, then at one side in particular one division B, C, D. Below A, B is there, below B, C, and last D. in one organization. At the same time, that A will be heading another division also, where E, F, G, like that persons will be there hierarchically arranged. And this file that proposes breach, when that C person wants to communicate with F, then it should not be that C to B to A and again E to F, but he says that there should be bridge, that that person at the same level, they should communicate directly, means that C person should communicate directly with the F person. That figure would have, you can see this example on internet also. If you type this gang plank, then you will get figure also. Then in that will show how the person at one level, rather than that communication going from top, how that one person at the same level they can communicate. That idea was proposed by this file, that it is called files bridge or gang plank. And order, equity, and then stability of tenure, initiatives, spirit de corpus, that is union is strength. These are the other principles. This principle you need to remember. You can make some certain mnemonics here to remember this, because this can be asked in exam. Administrative theories, APC validity. There some people criticizes that it's not verified under control condition. There is inconsistency, tautology, lack of sophistication. And positive views about this administrative theories was that their power, they explain power in organization, some practical aspects was there, and it has some scientific basis also, empirical basis also. Okay, if you see its application in modern workplace, then there is principle or element as recognized the main objective of modern managements. Then in planning, organizing, especially applicable to large organizations like military organizations. Next theory under this classical theory, that is the theory of bureaucracy. Theory of bureaucracy was given by this Max Weber. And if you see this Max Weber gave different ideal types. Anyone can tell how many ideal types this Weber gave? Max Weber. Anyone listening?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How many ideal types Max Weber gave? No one knows. "17 participants are there." Okay. No one knows. I can see some foreign names also. Some foreign national also are joining this meeting. H. Tarin.
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm from Arunachal Pradesh, India.
Okay, you are from Arunachal Pradesh. Okay. Again, I have shared this my slides. Hope it is visible. We were discussing this Weber's theory, and Weber is famous sociologist. He gave ideal types. Basically, he gave 3 types of ideal types, and one among them was this bureaucracy. Okay. He also gave these 3 types of leadership, authority. Okay. three types of authority, and one type of authority that is particularly related to this bureaucracy. And he also gives certain four types of actions, social actions, and in that this rational legal action is the basically suits for this bureaucracy. Okay. Bureaucracy like this today's organization, today's bureaucratic organization. You must be familiar with such types of organization, even in your college, in administrative setup, in your district. All of us are aware about this. Primary focus here is on organizational structure, and workers should respect the right of managers to direct activity dictated by organizational rules and procedures. It is more descriptive. Okay, administrative theories were more prescriptive. This is more descriptive. Three types of authority. I told that traditional authority, charismatic authority, and rational legal authority. That the bureaucracy is allows the optimal form of authority, that is rational authority. Rational authority means the authority which has got legitimacy from certain laws. Okay, certain laws, or we can say certain acts of the government. We can call this as a rational authority. Any power which gets legitimacy, we call it as authority. And if that legitimacy is because of tradition, past custom, or personal loyalty, it is traditional authority. And if that it is because of a personal trust or personal characters of individual like Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, then we call it as charismatic authority. And if it is because of some rules, some acts, some legal basis there, it is called a rational authority. And bureaucracy, we can see this rational types of authority. Elements of bureaucracy, there is a hierarchy. There are always one will be at top and another will be at subordinate, like that. Rules, regulation, procedures are strictly drawn. Individual is aware about that. There are some professional qualities that pre-selection by ability, training is given. Okay, here it is more impersonal, formalistic orientation. It's more formal organization. Pre-contractual relation. It's not that once individual joins, he's compelled to remain in that organization. At his will, he can leave that organization. So there are regulation and fixed salary is there. Irrespective of your work, you will get certain salary. That is the professional qualities. Then career aspect. That 1 minute. Hello. Habib. अच्छा अच्छा, ठीक है, मैं अभी लेक्चर में हूँ, मैं दोपहर में बताता आपको भी। हाँ हाँ, ठीक है। Then functions of bureaucracy. Sorry, this career aspects we were discussing about this bureaucracy. That career like tenure and pension, there is a fixed tenure. After that also some pension is there, promotion will be there, and maximizes vocational security. This career aspect is involved in bureaucracy. It's legal authority and power. Worker do not own the technology or even that organization also. These are the elements. APC functions, specialization will be there, structure will be there, proper structure, predictability will be there, stability will be there, rationality and democracy. These are certain functions of this bureaucracy. At the same time, this bureaucracy is criticized that it's more rigid, it's more impersonal, impersonality will be there. Okay, that what displacement of object, impersonality means that person's creativity and other aspect, emotions, other will not be considered. He has to work as per the rules and as per the objectives of the organization. Displacement of the objectives. Sometimes this individual's objectives likely to differ from the organizational objectives. That is the dysfunction. Limitation of categorization or compartmentalization. This role conflict likely to occur. Suppose as an individual, I am as an employee of this organization, I have certain role, but as a friend of my friend, I have different role. But if I am giving him the favor while on this, while possessing this office or this position, then there is certain role conflict, and that individual needs to maintain some compartmentalization, means role difference. As an individual, as an employee of that organization, his role is different, and as a friend, his role is different, and there should not be any confusion among that roles. That's compartmentalization. Then self-perpetuation, as this bureaucratic, those in Indian situation also, we can see that those in IS, their son are again likely to be IS, or even this judiciary, it is more prominent. You can see one example was there, only about 85 or 100 families are there. They are controlling almost all these judiciary. Okay. Then empire, self-perpetuation and empire building, they will create their own empire and they exclude others, or they will try to avoid the entries of others. Okay. Cost of control also will be there. That's the filing and other procedure is lengthy procedure, and that will lead to red tapeism. And anxiety will be there. These are anxiety among this individual. These are some dysfunctions of this bureaucracy. Of course, there are many applications. Many large organizations in today's context, we can see they are bureaucratic organization. Okay, this organization has several characteristics of bureaucracy, and though we mostly these organizations we can link, we can see that they are linked with inefficient, slow-moving organizations, red tapeism, and other negatives about this bureaucracy. Okay, we have seen classical management, administrative theory, and bureaucracy. That's three sub-theories of these classical theories. Broad heading of under the classical theories. And if we see gist of all these administrative, scientific management, and bureaucracy, uh, these all three are, these theories are simple. They promote principles of specialization, standardization, and predictability. Okay, there is strict rules and regulations, and of course there are certain problems that creativity, intelligence are underutilized, dissatisfaction will be there, motivation is neglected, and communication is not effective, and satisfaction may not be there to that employee. These are the some problems associated with these classical theories. We can see more focus is again is given on the tasks and management aspect, and neglected the human aspect. Human aspects, that is the emotions, motivation of the individual. And to overcome that aspect, we can see that there here comes the neoclassical theories. Why we called it as neoclassical? Because it built upon the base of the classical theories. Whatever built put by base put by these classical theories, these neoclassical have built upon that by adding one element extra, that is the human component. These neoclassical theories, they are also called as HRM, human relation movement. Okay, HRM, human relation movement. It's why it is called movement. Any movement, if we see this, if that movement start over the period of time, many elements or many persons will join that movement, and it will become bigger one. And the same context, this human relation movement, that's neoclassical, started by Mayo. Many persons came together and they accepted this idea and they gave their contribution to this neoclassical theory, and it has become the big movement, movement, big movement. That's why we called it as human relation movement. Some question can be asked about this also. Okay, here more psychological and individual aspects of the worker we are covering. An organization is seen as a group of persons with common objectives, and focus is here is on more on informal organization of emotions, creativity of these individuals. Okay, as contrast to the earlier theories. if you see this development of human relation movement or neoclassical, uh, Hugo Munsterberg was there. He was the industrial psychology. He applied psychological principles to industrial setting, and in that context, he recommended at least he acknowledged certain that certain psychological aspects that are affecting our work. At the same time, work also affecting our psychology like that. And big push for this theories neoclassical came from this Hawthorne experiment. Uh, Hawthorne experiment we'll see detail next slide. What are the causes of human relation movement? Initially, just when we started our lecture, I told that because of this industrial revolution in Western countries, there was flow of workers from farming to factory. These excesses of early factory owners, because there were a large number of workers were there, supply was more. Okay, and this rise of labor movement started. Technological change was there, and professionalization of management was there. These are some causes of neoclassical movement or neoclassical theories. What was the Hawthorne effect? Can anyone tell? Anyone know about this? Yes. Anyone listening?
Yes, sir.
Because I have screen in front of me, I'm not able to see faces or whether you are present or not. One person is responding yes. Others
Yes, sir, listening.
Yes, sir.
3 persons listening. Okay, only 3 persons are listening. Okay, I can consider only 3 persons are there. Yes, what is Hawthorne effect or Hawthorne experiment? Anyone can say? Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Vishal, are these participants are there? They are listening or just I'm alone seeing?
No, sir. Listening, sir.
I'm not getting any response from them.
Sir,
So, Mr. Vishal, can you allow this screen sharing?
yes, sir.
It is still disabled. I'm not able to share this. Vishal.
Sir, setting.
Here, share screen. In that share screen, one dot is there.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Try, sir.
Who can share that? You can click on all participants.
Yes, sir. हम allow कर दिए हैं. Yes, sir. Slide is visible, sir.
Okay. Hathon experiment we're talking about. I asked, but no, I think no one knows about this. These were the series of experiments conducted by Lord under the supervision of Mayo since 1924, and they were testing the effect of this illumination of light on the productivity of workers. When they decrease the illumination of light, then they saw this there is increase in productivity. At the same time, when they increase this illumination of light, they also saw this increase in productivity, and these researchers, they got surprised that how this can happen. Then after some realization, they realized that this productivity is not because of this light, but because of the attention paid to the workers. Because the attention, researchers paid more attention to workers, they worked more, they got motivated for that, and this because of that is their productivity increased. And that was the Hawthorne experiment that they from this way that researcher or managers, they come to realize that it's when we pay more attention to the individuals, to workers, their emotions, their motivation and other things, then their productivity likely to increase. And that is the basic of this
You are
neuropsychological.
preparing for. Lead Baba. What are you preparing for? ICR, GRF, SRF, ICR, RS, both.
Then that was the basic. Then if you see these elements of these neoclassical theories, basically three elements of these neoclassical theories are there. That is, first is the individual. Individual has these emotions, it has certain level of expectations, perceptions, and because of all these things, there are individual differences. No individual is same on the emotions or perception with other individual. There are individual differences, and in organization we need to acknowledge that individual differences. Second one is this work group. Work group has major impact on our decisions, our productivity. Okay, individual perception depend upon the other. There will be informal communication in organization that we call them as grapevine communication. Okay, effect of work group on motivation and production also. That both this individual affect group and group affects individual productivity. That's why we need to focus on work this work group or group aspect. Then third one is the participative management, participation of workers or employee in the major decision of this organization. participative management. We see these neoclassical theories. Earlier, that scientific management, or before that, before these classical theories, this man was viewed as bestial or demonic. Okay, classical theorists, they put some certain this rational order, structures, concept about this man. Neoclassical, they added feelings, emotions, and human qualities of man. And this psychoanalysis also has certain relation with this neoclassical. Okay, and if we see this historical perspective, also this neoclassical is parallel to sociology and psychology. Okay, that's worker right, unionism, what I told is Karl Marx and Gramsci and other person. Okay, it has relationship to classical theory in
Excuse me,
yes.
sir. Someone told me, sir, screen is not visible. So I think, sir, मतलब I friends. Hello.
A screen is not visible, huh?
Yes, sir. Someone has told me, sir.
No, you are,
Yes,
is
sir.
it visible to you?
Yes, sir. I see, sir. I see slides, sir. But
If you are able to see and that person is not
yes,
seeing, means problem is with that person's internet.
yes, sir.
Other
Sir,
can,
I'm
others can support.
sir, I'm also not able to see the slides.
Yes, sir.
Because
We are
our
not
whole
able to.
that's why sir not screen is sharing.
Should I stop and reshare it?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
सर होस्टिंग कमांड आपके पास होना चाहिए सर.
Friends. Hello. Hello, friends.
Hello.
Waiting sometimes, sir, rejoin.
Okay. Okay.
Hello, friends. Hello.
Hello.
I think sir has not rejoined. I have no any contact number to contact with sir.
Then should we leave the class?
And sir, Manohar sir has left. Kavya भी left कर गई है. Wait 1 minute and call for Manohar sir. Okay. Yes sir.
You're saying something to me?
Yes, of course sir.
But
एक मिनट. Yes sir. Sir, please share your screen, sir.
is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Friends, yes, sir. Audible, sir. Friends, you are all visual.
Yes, sir. Now,
Slide.
now it is
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
visible, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, then problem is there, so we can't let me know. We're seeing this historical perspective and relationship to classical theories. This neoclassical built upon the success of classical, and as the classical ordered this rationality structure, neoclassical they added this human component in this management. Okay, classical they try focus more on this economic need of the employees, while this neoclassical they focus more on personal security and social needs of the individuals. Neoclassical they focused more on this moral of this employees, okay, moral, their happiness, okay, and they said that their satisfied employees will produce more. However, most of these most of the psychologists and other person will criticize this, that giving too much emphasis on moral will not just will not be sufficient to increase the productivity. Along with that, we also need some other measures also. If we see Mayer's contribution in this neoclassical thoughts, that basically hathon experiment, that starting point of this human relation movement, then he said that basically he acknowledged that non-economic reward. It's an important component of this management, and that's why it's also called as this social man. Okay. This was the starting point this for this neoclassical model, and if we see behavioral other theorists, they also contributed in this neoclassical. As I told that it was the human relation movement. Many persons contributed for this movement, and some important theories among these neoclassical will be seen. Uh, apart from this Mayer's contribution, that's the first one is the behavioral management theory given by Robert Bowen. This Bowen is also called as father of modern personal management. And he says that the quality as well as quantity of workers' output is influenced by condition on and off the job. These are the behavioral management theory. Then next theory, important theory among these neoclassical was given by this Maslow, this need hierarchy theory. Once lower order needs satisfied, then another needs comes, that is the higher order needs arises. And this once that one need is satisfied, is no longer to motivate that individual. That is the basic of this Maslow's theory. And physiological safety law, status law, esteem and self-actualization, PSLES. That is the hierarchy of the need proposed by this Maslow. I assume that these theories are covered under this motivation theories part by some other experts. I will not give more emphasis on these theories. Then comes this theory X and theory Y. This theory X and Y was proposed by this Douglas MacGregor. And theory X, this assumes some negative views about these employees, that people are basically lazy and will avoid working if they can. And for that purpose, this suggests that this managers, they need to impose certain strict rules so that these workers will able to follow that rules and make decisions and work accordingly. This is some negative pictures of the employee created by this theory. And theory Y, this sees employee in positive direction, because this says that employees are basically good, and these managers believe that people are creative and will come up with good ideas if encouraged to do so. Okay, it's like just a humanistic approach in psychology. We see that they see that all human beings are basically good. In the same way, this theory Y also sees that people are good, and managers they say that they tend to give their employees much freedom and let them make mistakes so that they can learn from their mistakes also. And by next theory is also called as Z, which was given theory Z given by William Auchi. And this theory basically combines two principles of management. First one from these Japanese management practices, business practices, and American business practices. If we see this Japanese type of organization, it's more of collective decision making by these things. Okay, and if you see this Western type of organizations like these American organizations, here more focus is given on this individual. Okay, and this employment will not be permanent as in terms of Japan collective. In India also, we are mostly following these collective type of organizations like these Japan's. Okay, and theory J's combine these both American as well as Japan types of organizations, their characteristics, and they promote this long-term employment, consensus of participant decision making, individual responsibility. This theory Z took some important elements from Japanese type of organization and some American types of organizations, so that this organization can be more efficient, more productive. The next theory is Herzberg's theory, motivation hygienic theory. Intrinsic factor, extrinsic factor, two factors are there. They are also called as hygienic factors and motivators, satisfiers and dissatisfiers. Two categories are there. That's why it's called as two factor theory also. Okay. I again assume that these in detail these theories are covered under motivation chapter, if I am right. No response. Then Likker's 4 management style. uh, how the manager applied different styles. Likert gave basically three: autocratic, participative, consultative. But autocratic can be of two types: exploitative autocratic, benevolent autocratic, participative, and consultative. These four management styles were proposed by this Likert. And same way that style, this Blake Moulton, they gave this managerial grid based on this concern for production and concern for the people. They they give different management styles, and when there is low concern for production as well as low concern for these people, there will be improvised management. It will not be effective management style. When the concern for people is more and very less concern is given to task or production, they call it country club management. It's also not a good strategy because this concern for task also is important. When the manager is giving equal importance to both, equal middle, at middle level is middle of the road. But good strategy is suggested here is team management, where the manager is giving equal importance or high priority to both people as well as this production, or we can say to the task. Uh, Under this, you see these two types of these types of leadership, the focus is given on tasks and also on this production. There are two case studies, very famous case studies available in psychology. I think one is in Michigan State University study, and another one is at the next slides we will be covering that. These two case studies are also important when you are writing mains exam. If you cite this case study, you are likely to fetch more marks. Even this they can ask for your objective questions also. Then McClelland's three needs theory, that need for achievement, need for power, and affiliation. That also comes under neoclassical theories. McClelland's need achievement theory is important. You can prepare separate answer, separate topic for this also. And basic thing about this McClelland's theory is that he says that all the economic development of this country is depend upon certain persons who are more entrepreneurs. Okay, and we find that the characteristics of these entrepreneurs, that they have more need for achievement. And one basic characteristic he told about this person is that they take moderate degree of risk. Moderate degree of risk, either they cannot take high degree risk, or they even low degree of risk also they cannot take. Moderate level, 50-50, 50. Then again, motivation theory, the Stacey Adams equity theory, that when our inputs are equal to our output, that whatever inputs we are putting in organization, we get reward in that proportion, then there will be motivation to that individual. And if that reward is less, or some mismatch between rewards and these efforts of that individual, then that individual likely to be demotivated, and there are certain ways by which he can reduce that demotivation. Okay. This I discussed as well in the theories of neoclassical. Of course, there are many theories are there under the neoclassical, but important one we could discuss, and most of them are these motivation theories also, and you have already learned it in detail about this motivation theory in another lectures. We have covered this neoclassical also. Now we'll be looking for these modern theories. Okay. Modern theory, classical, neoclassical, we have seen, and now these modern theories. Modern theories basically they are called as a system analysis of organization. These modern theories see the organization as adaptive system. If you see this definition of system means interdependence is there and interconnectedness is there. Okay, One part is dependent on others. That is the characteristics of the system. They also see the organization as adaptive to the changes. Okay. Organization is defined as structured process in which individual interact for the objectives. In this modern theory, three major approaches they are used. First one is the quantitative or mathematical approach. It is also called as management science approach. Second one is systems approach. And third one is contingency or situational approach. Okay. If we see this quantitative or mathematical approach, they basically focus more on this mathematics or quantitative programming, quantitative models to based on this data, previous data, or even created future data also. And based on that models, based on this quantitative analysis, they take the decisions. Okay. And they believe that all the pages of management can be expressed in quantitative terms for analysis. And this has contributed developing orderly thinking among managers and give exactness to this management discipline. Different tools used by these managers are inventory models, break-even analysis, production scheduling, production routing, linear programming, optimization, what we call that, then forecasting. Then these different approaches in management science approaches, CPM and what very famous techniques are there. That is part of these quantitative methods. Then in operational research during World War England, they use this operational research also. Quality assurance, some statistics. So use of mathematical model to aid in managerial decision making. This statistics, this management science, operational research, quality assurance, all these are part of these quantitative methods. Next approach is the system approach. Already I told that it is viewed organization as an organic and open system, which is composed of interacting and interdependent parts. Okay, everything is interrelated and interdependent. Basics feature of system, if we see system interacting elements are there. Organizational system has boundaries that determines which part are internal and which are external, and the system does not exist in vacuum, but it has certain environment surrounding that system. Anyone, even for objective types of, they can ask what are the basic elements of system. There are 4 elements is visible. Basically 5 elements of system are there: input, processing, output, feedback, and all this process happens in one environment. Okay. Surrounding environment is there for this all this process. That's the input, process, output, feedback, and environment. These are the 5 elements of the system. You can remember, you should remember it. Okay. That was the system approach. And next approach, that is a contingency approach. We are seeing these modern approaches for this management. And contingency approach says that there is no universal management theory that can be applied in particular situation, and they suggest that there's based on the contingency or based on the situation that manager should take the decisions. It's not that certain set of principles or theories are there, they can be applied universally. It's not, it may not be true, but based on the situation, managers, they have to take the decision. And that is the basic of this contingency or situational management. We have seen these modern theories also, mathematical system and contingency theories. And the characteristics of all these modern theories is that the basic system viewpoint from 5 basic parts, IPO, AP, I explained already. There is dynamics, process of interaction among these elements. These theories, they are multi-level, multi-dimensional, multi-motivated, probabilistic, multidisciplinary, descriptive, multivariable, and adaptive. like cybernetics, there is command, control, and feedback. Cybernetics, science of command. I think that this modern theories also we have covered, and with this we have covered these schools of management, thoughts of management, and even we can call it as theories of management, classical, neoclassical, and modern theories. It's a very important aspect. If you understand and remember all this development in management thought, it's very easy to understand other concepts, other aspects of management, okay, and try to relate it with the different sociological or historical development taken place. As I already told, that evolution of human society, hunting, gathering, agriculture, industrial, new industrial, post-industrial, okay, and this the Renaissance period in Europe, and after that development. Just relate all these things, you'll get more clear picture about this. Then next topic I have assigned is this leadership. Uh, Leadership and leading is the art of influencing and motivating the people to achieve the common goal. Okay, and when we see its managerial leadership, it can be defined as the process of directing and influencing task-related activities of the group members. Okay, this leadership, this involves leader, follower, and certain situation. Okay, and this some say that there should be unequal distribution power and use of power to influence the behavior of followers or employees. Okay. Along with this intelligence, leader also should possess the qualities of integrity, honesty, good communicator, a good social memory, equally concerned with the means and ends. These are some of the qualities this leader should possess. Okay. Uh, for your exam, this difference between leader and manager, that is the important questions, important aspect we need to understand. There is just take an example where in forest you have to cut the certain trees and make the road, and you have to cross that forest. Okay, then just understand how this leader and manager will differ. This manager will tell these workers, suppose you have 40, 50 workers, how to cut the trees, how efficiently to cut that trees, okay, within short time, how to put them on right path and other things. That work will be done by this manager. But what leader will do? That leader will climb to tree at high point. You will see in which direction if we go, that there will be limited hard work is required, or in which direction if we proceed, then we can easily reach to our destination. Just think about these two things. That is the basic difference about this leader and the manager. And of course, in words, you can say that leaders, they create vision, and this manager, they create goals. Leaders, they win followers. Managers, they have employees, they order them. Leaders, they does the right thing, and managers does the things right. Leaders, they create change, they are change agent. They think for long term, they have great vision, they build relationship, they lead with persuasion, they persuade their followers, they create teams, and they take responsibility for their work. These are the features of leader. While the managers, they are mostly focused on their tasks, process, their communication, directing, managing, taking credit, etc. With this difference, you need to remember. Uh, there are of course there are many theories, but they can be categorized into 6 broad categories: great man theories, trait theories, behavioral theories, contingency, transactional, and transformational leadership. Great man theory suggests that leadership that leaders are born with necessary intrinsic characteristics such as charisma, confidence, intelligence, and social skill. That leaders are not created by the surrounding or environment, but they are born. Okay, and this theory was popularized by this Carnegie, and this theory often portray a great leader as a heroic, mythic, and destined to rise to leadership when needed. This theory, of course, criticized by many researchers, particularly this Herbert Spencer, and disputed this great man theory and said that the heroes are simply the product of their times and their actions, the result of social conditions. It is not because of their some inborn tendency or genes, but it is a product of this situation. Great man theory. Then next comes this trait theory. Trait is basically postulated by this psychologist. EPC trait is a stable or enduring characteristics of individual that represents his personality. And these psychologists, they studied world leaders and tried to identify certain traits of that leaders. Okay, and they say that if these traits are available in that particular individual, then he is the potential leader, or he has great capacity to lead the group or country like that. But of course, this theory, trait theory, was also criticized that this theory could not establish fixed traits of this world labor, could not identify these traits of these individual great leaders. Okay, I could not describe them, could not identify this trait leads to such types of leadership like that. Then comes this behavioral theory. Earlier, this great man theory, that is in because of the inborn tendency. This behavioral theory, they say it's because of the situation, because of the learning. Okay, like the behavioristic school of psychology, they put more emphasis on the environment rather than individual thing. Okay, they first divided leaders into two categories based on the function, this concern with task and concern with the people. And then related theories to this approach are the managerial grid, leadership grid. I was discussing this leadership grid by or managerial grid by this Morton, and that time I also had asked you to go through two studies, particularly that case studies are the Ohio State University case study and Michigan University study. These studies are available on internet. You just if anyone is interested, uh, just you type in Google search Ohio State and Michigan State University case studies in management. You will get this detail about these case studies and their results, how it concern for people and concern for the task leads to different types of results. Okay, and most of these behavioral theory they argue that leaders having equal concern for task as well as for the people, they are more effective. Okay, what we call the manager what was that 9.9 high concern for the task at the same time high concern for the people, effective leadership. Then next comes this contingency theory. Like this contingency theory of management, here it also says that neither any one trait or no one style of leadership is effective in all situations, and based on the situation or contingency, that leader has to take the decisions. Okay, and they focus on particularly factors like task requirement, peer expectations, employee characteristics, and organizational culture. In contingency theory, this Fiedler's contingency theory is important, is famous also. And this talks about effective group performance can only be achieved by matching manager to a situation or by changing the situation to fit the manager. That is the Fiedler's contingency theory. Again, I would suggest you to read this theory in detail so that for your exam point of view, you can write this. If big question comes on this theory, you can be able to write. You are able to write that contingency theory. Then comes this transactional leadership theory. As name suggests, it's transactions, means exchange. There is exchange between this leader and follower. If these followers, the subordinates, they perform good tasks, then this leader, they will reward them. If they are not doing good, he will punish them. Such transactions, okay. Because of this, it's called a transaction. And this transactional leader can be most efficient when they develop mutual reinforcing environment for which the individual and organizational goal are synced. And of course, there are associated theory with this transactional approach, that is leader member exchange theory. Then comes this transformational leadership theory. These are the most accepted and most, we can say this, recognized theory in the management literature, and everyone suggests such types of approach, this transformational leadership approach. Example particular in Indian situation is given of this Ratan Tata, Ajim Premji, Narayan Murthy. These people, they have qualities of this transformative leadership. They show this quality of leadership when we transform. Narayan Murthy, okay. These transformational leaders are also called as charismatic leaders, and they have exceptional impact on their organization. Such person is able to create a solid relationship that results in high percentage of trust, that will later result in an increase of motivation, extrinsic as well as intrinsic, and both leader and follower. Uh, there is one case TED talk on case studies of this Taj Mahal hotel when it was attacked during 26/11. It's a very famous case study from this Oxford University. And they studied how this, when this attack came, all the employee of this Taj hotel, they could have easily escaped from the Taj during that attack, but no, not a single employee they ran away from that, but all of them, they helped all their customers to safely evacuate from that hotel. And when they study how this happens, generally human motivation is that to save our life first, but that did not happen there, and all principles of psychology and economics failed there. Then they studied that what can be the reason. Then they found that this transformative leadership is this kind of relationship they build upon this their managers, leaders, is some kind of transformation, and not only on that job only, but they also take care of their families, their all types of needs also. That is the transformational leadership. In this Burns and Barr's transformational leadership theories are famous. Again, I would suggest if anyone interested, they can again deep in detail they can read these theories from. It's available on internet. You can search there. Okay, then leadership styles. Basically, see this leadership style. Three styles are there: autocratic style, democratic style, and laissez-faire style. Autocratic style, you know, this Dower, he said that this autocratic leader, that they are hard boiled. That it can be hard boiled or autocrat. It can be benevolent autocrat, and it can be manipulative. It's a manipulative is missing, manipulative autocrat. Okay, autocrat can be very benevolent also if he takes care of his followers or his subordinates. Okay, but takes decision by himself. That is how it different from other types of autocratic, the benevolent autocrat. He also has concern for the followers. That is the difference. Then democratic leadership, all decisions are taken with consultation of the follower. Laissez-faire or free-rein leadership, they leave the follower on their own terms and conditions. Their followers, they choose what to do next and other things. Okay. There is also manager grid, leadership grid. We have already seen this can be comes under this leadership style also. Okay, this important topics under this leadership, we have got these theories, broad categories of theories, and these types of leadership styles. Okay, now we'll move to our next topic, that is transaction analysis. Hope you are listening.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
2% listening. Thank you. Then transaction analysis. We'll start this next topic, transaction analysis. This transaction analysis, initially it was developed by this Eric Berne, and it is also like this human relation movement we saw. It is also like the movement only. Initially it was developed by Eric Berne, but later on many psychologists and manager persons came and they contributed for this transaction analysis literature, and now we can say it's a big movement. MOVEMENT. Okay, is used to understand, predict, and control interpersonal relationship. Okay, and as we are able to understand, predict, and control that relationship, we can say it has potential for transforming employees, managers, and organizations. This transaction analysis is basically also used as one of the method of psychotherapy. Under transaction analysis, there are different sub parts, all important parts. That's structural analysis, different types of transactions like position, strokes, stamps, time structuring, and script analysis. One more, that's game playing, also one of the important component of this transaction analysis. Structural analysis. Here, or my human mind or that individual's mind is divided into different states, ego states. Okay, when we are talking, our ways of expression, voice modulation, and other things will be different in each situation. Means we constantly change from one state to another, one ego state to another state, and basically we live into three ego states: parent ego state, adult ego state, and child ego state. When we refer to parent ego state, this parent ego state is the taught concept of life. Whatever during socialization process we are told by our parents, our teachers, and our colleagues, we just took it as such without applying any rational or any logic to that. We just consider it as useful and good. And same way we are trying to giving that knowledge or to others, or we are reacting in that manner. That's why it's called as parent ego state. This parent ego state can be up to two types. So that is critical parent and nurturing parent. Critical parent, they are conveying displeasures, hurtful behavior, they are strict, they set limits, code rules. While nurturing parent, they are helpful, indispensable, overprotective parent behavior. That's the helpful nature, they are more nurturing nature, nurturing parent. This critical parent, nurturing parent, two types of this parent ego state. Then comes this adult ego state. Adult ego state is also called as a thought concept of life. Earlier it was taught, it is thought concept of life, and it works out by looking at facts, seeking more information for analysis, and based on this analysis of that information, we take these decisions. That is the characteristics of this adult ego state. And next ego state is the child ego state. It is we call it as basically originate from this emotions. Okay, thought, and it is also called as felt concept. FELT. Felt concept of this life. This child ego state can be divided into three subcategories: uh, natural child, adaptive child, and little professor. Natural child, like this, is self-centered, self-indulgent, affectionate, fearful, like child. Okay, this adaptive child means when this rebellion or frustration becomes part of personality of adaptive child, a child is trained to obey the instruction. Whatever instructions told by these parents, teachers, this child just obey that instructions. Adaptive child. And this little professor is more intuitive, more creative, more imaginative, and also is more manipulative. These three types of ego states are there. Uh, that denotes the habitual way of thinking, feeling, and acting. Parent, adult, and child. PAC, we call them. Uh, of course, this is the ideal type of parent that all these ego states should be in equal, but of course, it's ideal. It's not possible in real situation. Uh, Next subcomponent of this transactions analysis is the types of transactions. Okay, and transactions is these are the exchanges between people. These are the unit of social intercourse. Then for the transaction, one should have one stimulus and one response so that this transaction can take place. This stimulus or response may be verbal or non-verbal. Uh, there are three types of these transactions: parallel, cross, and ulterior. In parallel or open transactions, there is expected response. Okay, and communication is open. The ego state from which that stimulus is originated, the response also given in the parallel direction. Suppose parents to child stimulus is there, then response also will go from child to parent, parallel. These two lines will be parallel always here. And if that response, the stimulus is goes from one ego state, suppose adult to adult, and response answer goes from parent to child, then it is a type of crossed or blocked transactions. Suppose I ask you what is the time, please. That is from adult to adult stimulus, and your response is that it's the 1 o'clock. That is again adult to adult. It's the parallel or open types of transactions. In cross transaction, what will happen? Suppose I ask you what is the time, please. From adult to adult, I am asking you, but the response, if your response is that can't you have your own watch, then that response is from parent to child. P to C means it is crossed one. It should have been again that return from adult to adult for this parallel type or open type of communication. And whenever such types of cross or block communications are there, this the communication is not effective and generally it stops there. Okay. And there are certain ulterior transactions also there. Message is hidden or disguised. Is not directly communicated to that individual, but there are certain disguise, certain intention always will be there. With that. Okay. Suppose some person asks, some student asks while taking digital class, some student asks me, may I come in, sir? And it is late. Is may I come in, sir? It is from adult to adult, but during that time, if he is late, I'll allow him. At the same time, I will be looking at my watch on my wrist. So that hidden message is given to the student that you are late. That's from parent to child. So that message was not direct, but it was hidden. And such types of this communication, they are called as ulterior transaction. Message is hidden or disguised message given. And such types of transactions generally should be avoided. Basic life positions that this TA talks about the life position. I am okay, you are okay. The four positions are there based on how that individual values himself and others. Then it said that when we are at the infant stage, we are totally depend on our parents or others, significant others, for our feeding, taking care, all these things. That time we develop this life position of I am not okay, you are okay. Means I am totally dependent on you and I will be you. Yeah. But after these 2 to 3 years, that life position start changing, and based on this parenting style, there is a socialization and experience, childhood experiences of that child. He develops different kinds of life positions, and that life position, if that person gives more value to himself and gives less to others, it's called as I'm okay, you are not okay. If that person's giving more importance to uh, himself or others and not to him, then it's I'm not okay, you are okay. And third, that's the worst situation, that that person neither values himself nor values others. That is you are I'm not okay, you are not okay. Okay, most important here is that we should try to focus on this, or we should try to remain in that situation of first one, that is I am okay, you are okay. Here is the next subtopic is the stamps. The stamps are the billings which get collected at the end of transactions. Gold, whatever billings we collect during transaction is called a stamp collection. There are two types of stamps: gold stamps, gray stamp. Gold stamp, if we collect positive billings, we call it as gray stamp. If we collect negative billings, it's called as gray stamp. Okay, positive gold, negative gray. And in an organization, it's very important that employee give a gray stamp and collect gold stamps for enhancing efficiency. Strokes, just mean just recognize, we recognize act of recognition for another. We recognize or we give response to another stimulus. Okay, and it is the strokes that is fundamental unit of social actions. Strokes are actions whenever two persons interact with each other. Basically, two types are there: conditional, unconditional, positive, and negative. And again, combining by this conditional, positive, conditional, and positive or negative, we have four types of these strokes. Among them, unconditional positive strokes is very good. That's we call say that mother's love for the child is unconditional love. Okay. And if you remember this humanistic approach in psychology, also they talks about this unconditional uh, positive regard. Okay. Then I wish also at the same time this unconditional negative without any reason. Okay, unconditional without any reason. If we had some persons, it's also very bad for that person. And if such thing happens in organization also, these persons will likely to suffer mentally also. And we should avoid this unconditional negative at all cost. The conditional positive is good. Conditional negative is like punishment and reward. Both is operant conditional reinforcement learning. If you remember this Skinner's learning, these two comes under that. And how we structure our times. This once basically there are 6 ways we spend our time by in rituals, in socially accepted ways like greetings and other things. Then we spend times on pastimes, that superficial exchange about non-threatening subjects like sports, gossip. Whenever friends come together, they talk about their earlier graduation or even childhood experiences. That is pastime. Activity means we are giving time or we are engaging certain kinds of activities, goal-directed behavior. Okay. Then games, that is a negative aspect, is a recurring transaction with concealed motivation. Whatever our motivation, we are not telling to others, it's always concealed. Then withdrawal, we don't maintain any contact with other and we withdraw from the society. And intimacy, that is honest, open and loving and trusting relationship with others. These are the some ways we structure our time. Psychological games are there. These are set of transactions which are repetitive, superficial, and may have ulterior values. As I told earlier also, this is like the ulterior transaction. Such types of psychological games also we should avoid. Uh, Script analysis is there, like the script of play or script of movies. Before that movie comes, their script is written like that. This script analysis says that person's script about his life is written during the childhood only. Okay. Life plan decided by child before age of 6 or 7, and this may be positive or negative. And here, more important is parental influence. Various transactions that person has with the parents and his teachers that lead to make decisions. Okay, that will affect how is this another life he will be acting. That basically this says that whatever our script is written before the 6 7 years, and whatever at this age what we are doing, we are just acting out that script. And of course, for success, this successful communication and for successful personality also, we should have more in terms of ego state. We should more focus on this adult, then little professor, then nurturing child, natural child, and other stages. We should use more open transactions. We should be always in I'm okay, you are okay position. Okay, give and take more positive strokes, give gray stamps, collect more gold stamps. Time we should more structure on this in this activity than intimacy. Okay, rituals more on activity. Then avoid playing psychological games. These are certain messages, important messages from this transaction analysis for effective communication as well as improve our personality. Already we have 5 minutes, so we have more, but conflict very fastly, very quickly we can cover this conflict topic. Okay. Conflict can be defined as an expressed struggle or contest between people with opposing needs, ideas, beliefs, values, or goals. It's any situation in which interdependent people or interdependent entities, they have apparently incompatible goals, incompatible interests or principles, feelings, then conflict likely to occur in organizations. That we need to manage that conflict. Remember here that every conflict may not be bad for the organization. At the same time, every conflict may not be good for the organization. We don't control conflict, but we need to manage them. Okay? And what is this conflict management? Is a process of limiting negative aspect of conflict while increasing the positive aspect of conflict. That is management, and its aim is to enhance group outcome, effectiveness, and performance in organizational settings. Conflict management strategy, if we say, or modes, we say, there are basically 5 strategies are there in conflict management. Here is you can able to understand in better way how these conflict management strategies are there. Low cooperation to high cooperation, low assertiveness to high assertiveness. If we plot on this X and Y axis, then if that manager or that person is less cooperative and at the same time is less assertive, okay, then it's called as avoiding strategy. And if that person is more cooperative and less on this assertiveness, it's accommodating. If it is medium of both middle of cooperative as well as assertiveness, compromising. If he is more assertive and is not cooperative, we can call him as competitive. And if he is more assertive and is more cooperative, we call them collaborating. And this competition, those are competing, they are called as competing sharp. They will be arguing, they will be more debating, using rank or influence, asserting the opinion, feelings. They stand on one's ground, stating the position clearly. competitions, means more on assertiveness and less on cooperation. This turtle avoidance, these are both things are in negative way. Okay, when this mode is there, avoiding, then ability to withdraw, ability to sidestep issue, and they have ability to leave things unresolved. Okay, since people also sense of time, they'll not rather stop there. Okay, this avoidance style. Then next comes the accommodating teddy bears. Okay, these accommodating skills are forgetting one desires, selflessness, ability to yield, obeying orders. These are the skills of these accommodators. Then next one is the compromising. Those are compromising, they negotiate, they assess values, finding middle ground, making concessions. And the important one, that is collaborators. They are active listeners. They are non-threatening, non-confrontationist. They identify the concerns of others. They analyze the inputs. These are some features of these collaborators, collaborating goals. Based on this assertiveness and cooperative, we have different conflict management styles, 5 styles of conflict management. That's in broad in conflict management only. This is important. Okay. I think we can stop here. If you have any questions, doubt, or any suggestions, you can ask. Stop sharing. Yes, anyone is present? Yes, participants have gone from 17 to 10 again. Hello. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Sir, I want to ask you something.
Yes. Yes. You can ask. Mr. Vishal, your name is this tag, or you can unpin it so that this all participants are visible.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
Don't put it on focus mode. No? Your screen is in focus mode. I cannot see other participants. Yes, someone was asking.
yes, sir. Sir, can you give me please an example of a theory X and theory Y?
Theory X and theory Y. Suppose as a manager, yes, suppose as a manager, I'm seeing my employee as a good person. They will do their task efficiently without telling them, and I give them more freedom to do that task. Then, in that case, I am following this theory Y.
Yes.
Okay. If I see that employee is, that my perception is that employee is not will not be able to do that, and every point by point I am writing to them, you have to do this like micromanagement I will be doing, considering that this subordinate will not be able to do that task perfectly, or is inefficient like that as one says. If I am following that strategy, it's very good. Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, and the major difference in between neoclassical theories and classical theories.
Classical, neoclassical, very detailed we saw this, how the basic difference. I also told that human relation movement, that Mayo experiment, hathon experiment,
Okay.
that how we recognize the individual consideration, psychological consideration of employees or workers. Earlier, that's in the psychological consideration, their motivation, their creativity, etc., were not recognized, were not seen in administrative, scientific management, and in bureaucracy also. But here in neoclassical, more emphasis was given on that aspect, human aspect. Yes,
Okay, sir, one last question, sir.
yes.
Sir, can you explain rule of thumb?
There,
Sir, can you explain rule of thumb, sir?
rule of thumb.
Yes, sir.
Yes, the rule of thumb is without any scientific principle, just whatever others are following or based on the experience of certain things. If you are doing that thing, become its rule of thumb. Opposite to it is as postulated by the scientific management by analyzing that task. What is the requirement of that task? If you are doing that, then uh, we by analyzing the task and matching the task to that person, if we are doing it which is more scientific and which is not based on the rule of thumb as per the scientific management.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, it is. If there are no questions, we can stop.
Yes, sir. But sir, Manohar sir is not sir here, sir.
No problem. If participant doesn't have any questions, then we can stop here.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.